In this first example problem, we're going to use the graphic organizer. So the first step is to draw and label the known sides. So I can just copy and paste in our problem here. The next step is to write in the names of my hypotenuse, opposite, and adjacent sides. So first I'll do the hypotenuse, that is across from my right angle. So right there, here's my right angle right here. So across from that is my hypotenuse. My opposite is across from my angle. Here's my 32-degree angle, so across from that is my opposite. And then what's left over is my adjacent. So next, we need to figure out which sides we have values. So for my hypotenuse, I have a value of 12, and for my opposite, I have a value of x. The adjacent, you'll notice, has nothing there, so I'm not going to circle that one. Now I'm going to determine which trigonometric ratio I want to use, sine, cosine, or tangent. And when I look at what I have information about, I have information about my opposite and my hypotenuse, or my O and my A. So when I look at determine which ratio to use, I'm going to use sine, because sine has opposite and hypotenuse in the SO of SOHCAHTOA. So now that I'm going to use sine, I can write my equation. I know I'm going to use sine, so I'm going to use sine, and it's sine of my angle, which is 32 degrees, and in this case, it's going to be O over H, or opposite over hypotenuse. So my opposite is x, and my hypotenuse is 12. So now I can solve for my unknown. So my sine of 32 degrees, if I just put that into a calculator, is 0.53. That equals x over 12. So I multiply both sides by 12, and I end up with x equals 6.35. All right, now let's move on to our next problem, example problem number 4. This one, it is, instead of trying to find a side given an angle, I'm given sides, and I need to figure out the angle. Once again, we can follow the same process. First thing, I'm going to draw and label my sides. Next, I'm going to put in my 3 sides, my hypotenuse across from my right angle, my opposite across from the angle we're looking for, and then leaving the final one as the adjacent. And for this one, I have information about my adjacent and my opposite, but nothing about my hypotenuse. So to determine which ratio to use, if I have opposite and adjacent, I'm going to end up using the tangent ratio, because that has opposite and adjacent in my SOHCAHTOA. TOA is tangent, opposite, adjacent. So now I can write my equation. The tangent of what? I don't know. The tangent of x is going to equal my opposite, in this case 26, over my adjacent, in this case 38. So now I have an equation. The tangent of x equals, so I put in my calculator, 26 over 38. That's approximately equal to 0.684. So then if I use my inverse or second button on my calculator to find out the tangent, or the inverse tangent of 0.684, I end up that the answer is 34 degrees.